Hello, 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 ladies. Give me 1 second. Let me see who's coming in tonight. We have such a good class this evening. Such a good class this evening. Give me 1 second. I think my husband is trying to bring me some goodies. Thank you so much. Can you bring me some water? I appreciate you. I love you so much. I love you so much. Yes, I had to have my husband bring me some water. I have been coaching for the last hour and a half. And so always take care of yourself, ladies, and have the people around you take care of you as well. So tonight we are talking about four of the feminine archetypes, four of the feminine archetypes. And so I have not taught this class before, but I definitely wanted to make sure that it was available inside of the Feminine Success School community because it's such an important part of understanding yourself as a woman. It's an important part of sometimes we think, oh, I'm so complicated, or oh, it's just me. And really, most of us are always, whether it's the feminine archetypes or the masculine archetypes, we're always following patterns. And so if you're aware of the patterns, you can be aware of what you're tuned into at the time, what you're tapping into at the time, how to disconnect yourself from it if need be, how to process it if need be, whatever that looks like. And so as we talk about femininity, and even as we talk about masculinity, I study a lot of the masculine archetypes. I study a lot of the feminine archetypes. And this is a kind of a deep class. This is like a level 2 feminine success class. So, if this is your first year or whatever have you, listen, ask questions. Don't feel any kind of shame around asking questions and getting the answers that you need. But most of you, I think, have been here for quite some time. And so this is like just a next step in the understanding for you. So just quickly looking at the definition of an archetype. What is an archetype? It's an example of a certain person or thing. So a very typical example of a person or thing that could be the embodiment of a woman. What is a masculine archetype? The hero is a masculine archetype. The king is a masculine archetype. And so it's a typical set of characteristics that round out what it means to be that thing, whether that's a man, whether that's a woman. And then as you go into, okay, man, woman, masculine, feminine, you can break that down even further into more archetypes. So, a recurring symbol or motif in literature, art, or mythology. A lot of the archetypes, when you start doing your research and reading about them, a lot of them are mirrored after mythological queens, mythological goddesses, mythological just stories in general. But if you look through, and this is why people say you can find Christ in any culture, because if you look through those cultural representations, the characteristics are the same. So whether you're talking about a Christ, or you're talking about an Osiris, or you're talking about a Zeus or whoever, the characteristics are the same. It's not to say that they are the same, but it is to say that those foundational characteristics are the same. That is an archetype. And so masculinity follows certain archetypes. And that's why they can take those characteristics and put whatever label, whatever image, whatever anything on it, and you're going to get a man at the end. You're going to get masculinity at the end. You're going to get divinity or whatever they're trying to illustrate for you, because they start with the archetype and then they add the image. And so if you understand those feminine archetypes, if you understand those feminine characteristics, the characters really, then you understand what you're tapped into when, and how to shift when you need to. It goes deeper than, okay, well, just think a positive thought. It's, okay, well, right now I am in my mother energy and I would rather be in my lover energy. So what do I need to do to shift that? What kind of fabrics do I need to bring around me? What kind of scents do I need? Do I need some candles burning? What does that look like? And so for those of you who were at the Feminine Success Retreat, you will really get it, because we created an environment for you where there were scents in the air and there were fabrics around you with your robes, and there was the popcorn when we wanted to invoke that inner child, and fresh flowers around you to tap into that femininity, to tap into that lover, to tap into the nature. And so I'm really excited. If you weren't at the retreat, go and watch the replays, because you can feel through the replay what the environment was like. We had our room spray. Anyone who was there, you remember the room spray. We had our room spray. We had sounds and music that was playing, and that is really intentional. We talked about being intentional about your environment. Well, when you are aware of those feminine archetypes, you can be intentional about your environment and you can get the results that you want from yourself. If you are tuned into the shadow side of your wise woman. So that would look like you're aloof, you're procrastinating, you're not really feeling emotionally connected to people, and nothing makes you feel alive. And what you need to be tapped into is that lover side that always feels alive, that is energized about things, that's ready to create and manifest. If that's what you need to be tapped into, then you're able to be intentional about what you make your environment feel like, what your inner environment is feeling like and looking like. So this is going to be good for you ladies tonight. I hope that you have your notebooks ready. If you're in Feminine Success School and you're without your notebook, I'm like the teacher when you come to class unprepared. That teacher who's like, how did you even come to class without a pencil? Literally, you knew where you were going. And so I just know that each and every one of you had your notebooks ready, you have your pens ready. I'm going to take a quick sip and get ready, y'all. Get ready. If you have any questions already, definitely type them in the comments, because this is always interactive. It's not just me pouring or me teaching, it is interactive. So Ego says, I got my notebook and my rose gold pen ready. Listen, I have been having so much fun. My inner girl has been having so much fun writing with these pens with the diamonds on the end. It's just the extra level of drama that I need, but not too much. I think there were like 4 or 5 of them that y'all didn't take, and now they're in my purse and around my office. It's just the level of drama that I need in my day-to-day life when I'm doing something as simple as writing. So I hope that y'all are enjoying those. All right, so here we go. The 4 feminine archetypes that we're going to talk about today. The 4 feminine archetypes that we're going to talk about today, there are, depending on where you look, there are more and there are less, and there are, sometimes you'll find 13 feminine archetypes and 20 feminine archetypes and 7 and all these things, but we're going to talk about the 4. I recently did a really in-depth study into the masculine archetypes, and they're based on Carl Jung. He was a very famous psychologist, one of the fathers of modern psychology. And he talked about the anima and the animus, and that masculine and feminine side of things. And there is a book that breaks down the masculine archetypes into 4 archetypes. And so for ease, especially as you study more and you learn more. Those of you in relationships, it's very good to learn about the masculine archetypes as well, so that you understand what's going on with your man. This can be a correlation to what you learn on that side. So the 4 archetypes are queen, mother, wise woman, and lover. Queen, mother, wise woman, and lover. Wise woman can be sage. Wise woman can be several things, but I will say wise woman. Okay, so we'll start with the queen, because the queen really represents you standing in your power. And one of the most important things to understand about the archetypes is there is a shadow side. So there's a side that is facing the light, and it's you at your most mature, and it's you at the top of your game, and it's you showing up the way that you need to. And then there's a shadow side. So when you don't do the work to show up the way you need to, or you don't do the healing work that you need to do as a child, or in your development, you're not taking that time and investing, you're not showing up for your investments, and all of those things come together to create the shadow side of the archetype. And it is a lot to explain, so I won't go all the way into all the details, but I will briefly tell you about the mature side of each archetype and the shadow side of each archetype, because it will definitely help you with how you show up. Okay, so the queen is you tapped into your power to multiply and forward a legacy, a campaign, whatever it is. The queen is fully committed, and this is going to step on some toes, because a lot of women feel like they are queens or they're in their queenness, and they're not. The queen is fully committed to the king. Women who are heavy in their queen archetype are women who feel like a part of my life purpose is to be married. It is not because she so-called needs a man, but it is because she realizes that a man needs her, and that's a part of her assignment. So the queen is committed to the king. She is connected to that king energy. She is fully aware that she has not reached the level that she is here for if she is not in relationship, healthy relationship at that. Okay, so the queen is loyal to a fault. And this is why if you are in this energy, it's important to be aware, because many times you will, if you're not aware and you feel that pull and you know, like, I'm just a loyal person, this is just who I am, this is just how I show up, you won't be able to turn it off when it's the wrong person. And you will find yourself questioning, well, should I be loyal here, or should I leave because this just doesn't feel right? And there's such a heavy pull in you to be loyal. And so it's important to be aware of yourself and aware of who you are and how you show up, because then you know your value, you know that loyalty is a valuable part of who you are, and you're only willing to give that value for a very clear investment from the other person. You're only willing to give that to a king, a literal king. And when you understand what the king archetype looks like, what those characteristics look like, then you can say, okay, he's it or he isn't it. Because sometimes we confuse a king with a joker, someone who is not necessarily organized like a king would be, who doesn't have a plan like a king would have, but maybe he has the confidence of a lover. Maybe he has the committed to his craft of a magician or a craftsman, which is the opposite of that wise woman. Maybe he is fierce like a warrior, but he's not a king. And those levels of a man are not what you as a queen are designed to be loyal to. You are designed to be loyal to the king level of a man. And sometimes if you're not aware of you, you'll start trying to pull out kingly things about him, and he's not a king. And you exhaust yourself in that way. So the value of a queen is that she is loyal. She's also a leader. She's also a leader. And a leader is mindful of the collective. A leader is mindful of community. A leader is mindful of her people and what it requires to make sure that her people are good. A leader also understands that she has to prioritize herself because that is a service to the people that she serves. She cannot serve from an empty vessel. Period. Because the way that she shows up in the world, her leadership requires that she have a full cup at all times. And so a queen is not someone that you find has a difficult time investing in herself, because her investment is an act of loyalty. She realizes that as a queen, I'm an asset to my king and my kingdom. And as an asset, I take care of my assets. Your home is an asset. You take care of your home. Your business is an asset. You take care of your business. So the queen realizes that she is a valuable asset. So self-investment is not really her weakness. Does that make sense to you, ladies? Let me know if I'm making sense so far. I know that this is definitely a detailed topic. Okay, Ego says yes. Yes, that makes sense. So if you have questions along the way, feel free to ask. Arnikia says yes, very much so. Perfect. So what does the shadow side of the queen look like? What does the shadow side of the queen look like? If her in her power looks like a woman who is comfortable in her power, a woman who is comfortable being in submission to the king, who is comfortable being loyal to a fault, who is comfortable committing herself, and she realizes that her commitment is not a doormat at all. It is value. It's an asset. What does the other side of that look like? The other side of that looks like the woman who is jealous of a man's power. The woman who is jealous of a man's power because she hasn't tapped into her own power, her own right to walk away, her own ability to make decisions for herself and be autonomous. She has not tapped into that. And so she is jealous. It can also look like a woman who is vindictive or vengeful. That woman who is not taking full advantage of who she is. She's not standing in who she really is. And so anyone around her who is standing in their power becomes a threat or becomes an annoyance or an aggravation, and she has to get rid of them. We see the vindictive queen in Jezebel. A lot of people, when you think about Jezebel, you think about a whorish woman or a woman who's out sleeping with all these people. Jezebel wasn't sleeping with a bunch of people. Jezebel was a vindictive woman. And so it's really important that you are studying to show yourself approved, first of all, but that you're also aware of what these characteristics are. So if you see them coming up in yourself, you're able to redirect and do the work in that area. So the next archetype is the mother. The mother. The mother is committed to her children or her creations, whatever that looks like. Her commitment is always to others. A mother is committed to others. outside of herself. So the mother is nurturing. She's very compassionate. She is the soft place to land for most of us. Have you ever been in a situation, even as a grown adult? I know I've been here as a grown adult with children, in a situation where you just feel like, I just want my mama. I just need my mama. Even if she's not who you think she should be, wishes she would be, what you just have these moments where you're like, I just need my mom right now. I just need my mama. Giving birth is one of those times. And so the mother, when the mother is dominant in you, you are a caretaker, you are a nurturer, you are usually the compassionate one. Okay. And so you are the one who is, my child comes first all the time. I am completely committed to being a mom. You're very protective. You're probably, listen, I was very strong in my mother archetype when I was childless. Because I was always the friend who everyone was like, we're not going to act up around her because she's like our mom. Very protective of the people around you. You're the responsible one. You're not out having fun and enjoying yourself. And many times we did the inner child, inner mother work at the retreat. You do have to tap into that inner child to start manifesting like you need to. Because the mother is stopping you from so much joy many times. And it's always about other people. Okay. And so what are some of the downfalls of that mother energy? Some of the downfalls of that mother energy is the serious habit to neglect yourself. You are always on the back burner. The woman who is strongly in her mother energy and is not aware of it usually is the woman who's burnt out, on the back burner. Not from taking care of business, not from doing something that she loves, but strictly from putting others first. Can't tell people no. Always taking you sick, should be laying down in the bed, and you're going to take care of somebody else. I remember being that way, and it created serious resentment in me. I remember getting up out of my bed with the flu to go do someone's hair for free. And it created such resentment in me. At first, I was like, oh, this is good. And I'm just willing to do whatever I have to do or whatever I can do for people. And then when that person was very much unappreciative, not that day, but months later, it was a whole other situation. And they were, you don't do this and you don't do that and all these things. I was literally like, who got up out of the bed to come and take care of you and do your hair so you could go? And I was in this place of resentment because I had overgiven, completely neglected myself, being tuned into the shadow side of that mother energy. Okay. And so another of the downfalls of the mother energy is being overly attached, being the person who is overly attached. So you have a hard time letting your kids do their own thing and be kids, make their own decisions. You have a hard time letting people go, letting friends go, letting a man go. You feel like you have to control every decision that they make. Why can't they get it? Why don't they see it? Why aren't they doing it my way? Why don't they see it my way? And when they don't get with the program in a mother's voice, you become distant and you pull yourself away. And you're basically punishing them, taking your love away, because you were not able to do the opposite of, or the extreme of nurturing is controlling. Because you weren't able to control them, now you pull your love away. You're distant. You're pulling yourself away. You're taking away communication, giving people the silent treatment and things like that. And that was so very familiar for me because that is the energy that I used to roll in. I felt like, but I do know what's best for you. But I know that this will help you. But it's working for me. But if you just do it my way, then you would see. And I didn't realize that people had their own journey. And I don't know what's right for everybody's journey. All I can do is share what I do know and hold folks accountable for taking the action that they should take. Whether they take it or not, it's on them. I'm not going to hate you because you didn't get results. It is what it is. But I had to get to that point. I had to get to the point where I am pouring into me so that I can pour out. And while I will hold the flashlight for you and guide you, I will not pull you to the finish line. And many times when you're in that mother energy, you're burnt out and exhausted because you are pulling people to the finish line. You're trying to pull your husband to get it, to understand. Okay. So that mother is the second archetype. Does that resonate with you, Arnikia? Does that sound familiar? I understand, because I used to be there. Not only me, but I used to hear my dad and my mom argue sometimes, and he would say things like, I'm not your child. I'm not your child. And I never wanted to make a man feel like my child, but I never understood like what actions am I taking that are making it seem like that, because I don't think you're my child, and I don't even think I'm talking to you like you're my child. But once I understood those actions, I was able to see them when they came up and I was able to correct them. Let me drink a little bit more water. I'm just coming down off a bug, you guys. Not even fully off of it. So excuse my voice going in and out. Trying my best over here. I actually have some time between today and our call on Thursday, so I'm definitely going to be resting in that meantime. Okay. So let's get into the wise woman. The wise woman. The wise woman is generally committed to her cause or her spirituality. This is the woman who is totally focused, really, on getting to know herself deeper, spiritual development, getting to know God deeper, getting the understanding of who she is. She is not the woman who is very surface level. She's not very surface level. She's likely to be considered an old soul. If you're not in that wise woman energy, you probably will get there as you age. But a lot of times, when you are and you're young, you feel like an old soul to people. You feel like an old soul to people. Very, very intuitive and in tune to your, I don't want to call them psychic abilities because it's really not that, but your intuitive abilities, the spirit inside of you, those nudges that are moving you in the direction that you need to go. That spirit of God that is very strong and powerful in a feminine way as well. So the wise woman is usually wise, of course. She is usually the person who you can go to get information about the things that are unseen. So the person that you go to for wisdom, for guidance, for insight, for advice, often. And let me know if you have or feel that you are the wise woman in your life, or if you have wise women in your life. Ego says, I feel myself gradually moving into this archetype. I can see it. I can see it. The wise woman is often very quiet and introspective. Does that make sense to you? Does that feel like it resonates with you? Arnikia says, I have been her all my life and been resented. The wise woman is often resented, especially in a society like ours where things that you can't see or put a label on, if they don't understand it, they don't like it. And so it's deciding that their resentment does not matter to you because their validation doesn't matter. All they can do is resent something that they don't understand. But you have to take away the power of that resentment mattering. Yes, and people have been pointing this out. Definitely. 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 Give me 1 second. Let me drink some more water. And so as you read, for those of you who do spend time in your scripture, as you read through the Bible, anytime wisdom is represented, it's represented as a woman. And it's represented as that original woman who was here when God was creating. Wisdom. It's not a physical body of a woman, it's the feminine essence. The wisdom behind the creation, the function behind the form. Or the function really that precedes the form. The wisdom that precedes creation, because God does not create without a purpose in mind. And so that feminine form is the purpose, is that wisdom. And so the shadow sides of that, which is very interesting, is the shadow side of the wise woman is actually while she's very spiritually connected, she's very emotionally disconnected. It's difficult for her to connect with people emotionally. It feels frustrating when people even seek emotional connection because she is spending so much time trying to dive deeper. It almost seems trivial, the emotional connection piece. Why do I need this? Why do we need this? Why do we need sex? Why do we need all of these things? There's something so much deeper than that. So the wise woman does fall risk. She is at risk of falling so deep into the unseen that she takes the seen for granted. And then it becomes difficult for her to manifest in the physical world because she's always swimming around in the spiritual or in the what people call the dark, but it's really not dark. It is your thoughts, your mind, the whole universe that we are a part of, creation and godliness and all of those things, you're constantly diving and trying to find the deeper, deeper, deeper meaning. And then it becomes difficult for you to swim yourself back up to the surface and actually catch air, actually catch a bird or something that you can eat. It's difficult for you to root yourself. And so what's great is understanding that if you are deeply rooted, if you grow your roots, you can grow as high as you want to, when we talk about the wise woman. But if you are the wise woman who is reaching for the stars and you are not rooted in the earth, you become like that balloon. Once you get to a certain level, you're just out there floating. Have you ever experienced, and I have been here in New Orleans, one of those people who, and they're usually like transient, and you listen to them talk and you're like, how are you this smart? But you're living on the street. What is happening here? That is the person who is so deeply connected that they could not connect back with the real world. They hadn't rooted themselves. And that's a very real thing. That's a very real possibility. These are people that you can walk into any inner city and see. And so it's really, important that you're aware of these things. The wise woman also can be aloof. She can be very irresponsible with her time management, with her money management, with her life management, relationship management, because she is disconnected. She's not rooted. And so it's like, why do these things even matter? Well, they matter because you need shelter. They matter because connection is important for human beings. So it's important to be able and be in spaces where you can bring yourself back down to earth and you can dig your roots in even deeper, because the rootedness is important as well. It's as important as how high you're able to climb. Okay. Oh, Ego says, I see I've been tapped into the shadow side of the wise woman. Ex-partners have often accused me of being distant and not affectionate enough. Definitely. So that detached, distant, it's like I'm in my mind. I live in my mind right now. What do you want out there? Why is this important? I'm thinking about more important things right now. And so it's important to put boundaries around the time that you spend in those spaces and how you process being in those spaces, because it's important to give yourself time to explore and to dig deeper. I live in the deep, so I understand. It's important to give your mind time to fly higher and reach for the stars, really, when it comes to your exploration of knowledge and wisdom and understanding. But even the scripture says, do not mind things that are higher than you. So if the information is presenting itself to you, if it's available to you, great. But if it is not making itself readily available, don't disconnect yourself from the people and the things that are happening around you, going on a search for it. When you need it, it'll be presented to you. Attachment, Gina says, attachment has definitely had to become an intentional practice for me. Definitely. Definitely. Because you can be so attached to your ideas and your dreams and your visions and what does the next level look like and all of these things, that your partner in your real life who you are connected to feels disconnected from you. And that starts to create problems for you as well, because no one of us is all of one of these archetypes. We have varying degrees of each inside of us, the shadow side and the light side. And so you may resonate more with one, but you have pieces of each. And if you see that, you know, well, I'm really in my wise woman right now, and it is the shadow side because I'm having money problems, or I'm having connection problems, or I'm having this and that, then you'll know, okay, well, let me tap into the lover. What does she want right now? What would make me feel alive? What would make me feel beautiful? What would make me feel passionate? What would make me feel sexy? What would make me feel creative? And you can turn it up. Turn up the thing that you need to balance out that detachment or that distance or whatever that looks like. Maya says, I need so much time to process. I used to get stuck in my mind, so I purposely do activities that allow me to let out of my head, to get out of my head and interact with the world around me. Absolutely. Absolutely. So let's get into the lover. The lover. So the lover is connected to creativity, connected to a cause, connected to the work. The lover in a man, or even in a woman, is often the person who fully dives deep into whatever the thing is that makes them feel most alive. Now, on the shadow side of that, you can quickly see how that can become addiction. You can see how that can become manipulation. So it's really important to be aware of what that looks like. You can see how that lover can get to the point where they're like, I'll do whatever it takes to get what I want because I want it and I like it. The lover is very important for you as a woman, though, because the lover is the part of you that is magnetic. We tapped a lot into that lover energy at the retreat. We talked about joy. We talked about smiling. We talked about magnetism. We talked about showing up for those things and tapping into those things, because that is what allows you to manifest. The lover is your creative energy. It's your sexual energy. What do you need to do to create? In like biology, you tap into that lover. You tap into that hormonal cocktail inside of yourself. And so the lover is charismatic. The lover is creative. And the lover can be charismatic because the lover is fully confident in the thing that it loves. It's confident, the lover is confident in its love for that thing. Okay, Ego said she's going to have to catch the rest on replay. Perfect. Confident in its love for that thing, confident in how it, that, have you ever been in a relationship or started a business or some other endeavor and you said, I love this so much that it has to work. I am so committed to this that it has to work. There is no other option. That's how I was with the retreat. That's how I am with this business. It just has to work. Whether I have all the answers or not, whether I know how it's all going to shake out or not, it just has to work. And those are the things that make you come alive. The lover is more easily able to tap into faith because she just truly believes in that thing. On the flip side of that, the lover can be very fragile, because what happens to you when your love is rejected? When you're speaking to someone in your love language and they don't understand it, and they think it's weird, and they think you're doing too much. So the lover can be very fragile. Her self-esteem can become wrapped up in the approval of whatever that thing is. Or it coming out perfect. If it didn't come out perfect, then it's all on me. It's all my fault. And so her mental stability, emotional health can be very fragile. She can often be unfocused. She can often be unfocused because a lover loves. And so it's if something else that you love about a project comes up, or another project that you love pops up, you are following love. You're not necessarily following one objective through to completion. You're following the feeling. The lover can also be very vain, a very me mindset. So it's really important, if you notice these things about yourself, that you make sure that you're aware of how are you showing up. Yes, you want to have boundaries. Yes, you want to be able to say no, but are you so me that you're not being in service to the things and the people around you, that you're not making the connections that you need to make? It's just me and the thing I love. It's just us against the world. Because that can be a very destructive mindset to have as well. So those are the 4 feminine archetypes: the queen, the mother, the lover, the wise woman. And you ladies definitely shared which of the archetypes resonated the most with you. But we have about 10 minutes and I want to open the floor. I know this was like a very packed informational class. I haven't been doing informational classes much lately. And so I want to open the floor for questions. Anu says, can you be in between archetypes? You absolutely can. Like I said, you have a varying degree of each and every one of these in you somewhere. It may be dormant, but there is a little sprinkling, a little splatter. Some you have a big old heaping cup full. But all of us are a matrix of all of these, a very unique combination of all of these archetypes. And when you're aware of the light side of each, the shadow side of each, you see it coming up in yourself and you're able to correct it. So I will probably do a masculine side class as well inside of Feminine Success School. This is definitely not something that I would go on live and talk about in depth in this way, but it can definitely work into the Feminine Success School curriculum, especially as we talk about relationships and things like that. So the masculine archetypes are king, warrior. So father is not really an archetype for them. King, warrior, magician or craftsman, and lover. So those are the masculine sides of the archetypes. And there are shadow sides as well. And generally, the shadow side of the archetype is a wounded version of your inner child. A wounded version of your inner child. So if you have not watched the retreat replay, watch it in full. Take that time to do that. It will be coming down out of the group at the end of this week. But you ladies will have access to the replay of the retreat inside of Feminine Success School. I can see where I have passed through each of these archetypes on both sides. Can you talk more about how each archetype balances the others? Definitely. Definitely. So if you look at the wise woman and the lover, like we talked about, so the wise woman definitely has the tendency to grow distant. the lover, when tapped into fully, is more warm and connected. And so you're able to reconnect in that way with your significant other or with your work, because there are times when you're so tuned in on the wise woman side that you look at your work and it's like, why am I even doing this? Why does this even matter? And that lover needs to be reignited so that you can find that passion again. If you look at the queen and the mother is connected to the person, the child. The queen, on the other hand, is connected to that child's legacy. And so while the mother may be enabling the child, you may need to tap into that queen energy that says no, because this is not conducive for this child's future. So one of the shadow sides of the mother, not only self-neglect, but also enabling and being overly attached. The queen realizes that this child is not my child to have forever. I am preparing this child for the kingdom, whatever that kingdom is. So if that is to go out into society and be a productive citizen, if that is to go into the family business, if that is to, build up the community, whatever it is that you're preparing that child for. Whereas the mother may have a hard time letting that child go, the queen has already prepared herself for that moment because she understands her greater mission. So the mother can be very granular, while the queen is more visionary. Does that make sense? And both of those things are needed. So there are times when the queen is too focused on the future and she's not connecting with that child and compassionate with the child and loving toward that child and taking the time to hug them and nurture them. And she needs to tap back into that mother, because maybe she's more focused on the work that needs to be put in, the things that need to be done to set the foundation for the child. The mother can be more focused on the child. And so you're able to create balance by noticing where you are, what your thoughts are, what your feelings are, and what you want to feel, what you want to be thinking, what you want to be creating. Anikia says, I can see me falling into the shadow 3 of these. I just allowed my son to venture off in the complex, though he has to do 15-minute check-ins. I see me in both lights. Definitely. And so, making sure that he checks in is good. You can also, if he has an iPhone, turn on the location on his phone so that you can always see where he is. That takes the check-ins. The check-ins actually will create some responsibility in him and hold him accountable. But then once he shows you that he can be accountable, maybe you just turn on the location so you can always see where he is. And that's not necessarily about control as much as it is about being able to monitor things, being aware of the world that we live in, and just making sure that you have your T's crossed and your I's dotted. But I love that you're giving him some freedom. You're letting him take some space and some room for himself. And you're actually showing up in the light on that. And so that overly attached piece, it's about understanding the levels and what's appropriate at each level. If your son is what, 14, 15, you're supposed to hold on to him right now. Now there is a level of freedom that you give him, but that overly attachment is your 25-year-old child who's ready to move on, get married, handle his life, and you have a hard time letting him go. Right now, he's still your responsibility. So, yeah, fam, you here until you're not under my rules and my roof, and you can handle yourself in the world, and I can see that what I have put in is manifesting. In order for what you put in to manifest and bear good fruit, though, you have to allow freedom in increments. so that he can test out and show and prove what you have planted inside of him. Does that make sense? Perfect. Perfect, perfect. Are there any other questions, ladies? Any other questions? I'll stay on until 9:30 on the dot, just in case someone's typing or something like that. If you have any wins that you want to share, I'd love to hear them. Feel free to come on, turn on your mic, and share your wins. It's been such a magical and phenomenal week since the retreat. I've been on coaching calls today with women who were at the retreat, and just hearing the results, hearing the transformation, hearing that you are still full, and it's been like 10 days now or 9 days now, is just so fulfilling for me. So thank you guys for being ready to receive all the time. Thank you for hearing this message here tonight, because this is one that I have not taught before and is very important as you reach for and step into that next level as a woman. So what I would love for each of you to do is go inside of the Feminine Success Collective group and share your takeaways from tonight's call. Share your takeaway from tonight's call, your biggest takeaway or your top 3 takeaways. I know there were a bunch, but share those from tonight's call inside of the Feminine Success Collective Facebook group, as there are some women there who are kind of on the fence about Feminine Success School and what you're learning here and how it applies to your life, and how not only does it resonate, but it gives you actions to take. So I would love that from you guys, to just give some value back into the community. I always appreciate it. With that, I'm going to say goodnight. Thank you so much for your time. I hope that I have earned it this evening. You have a great evening. I will talk to y'all on Thursday for our business call. Talk to you soon. Peace.